Okay, so last time we left off with Dante and Virgil, right, heading deeper right into the seventh circle of hell. And if you recall, that's the realm reserved for those violent against nature.
Yes. And we saw Dante encounter his old mentor, Brunetto Latini. But moving right along from that very powerful moment, we find ourselves in Canto at 6.
And this canto, it feels like it's packed with even more insights, like not just about, the nature of sin and punishment, but also like how these experiences, how they can offer us a guide, maybe even a mirror to the journeys we're all on in our own lives, right?
Absolutely. It's as if Dante's descent through these infernal layers is also a descent into, well, the very depths of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And in this canto specifically, I think we see some really powerful themes emerge, themes that speak to, well, how we grapple with our own moral failings, how we acknowledge those contributions, even amidst flaws, and, the big one, how we prepare for those inevitable challenges that life just throws our way.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that that the surface often conceals a much deeper and sometimes much darker reality. And that's true not just for individuals, but, for the very institutions we build around ourselves, our communities, even our societies. So let's jump right in. So Canto 16th opens with Dante and Virgil encountering three figures right on the heels of that conversation with Brunetto. And what struck me is how they immediately recognize Dante.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that recognition happens, right? It's not through sight, it's through sound. They recognize his Florentine accent. Even in this realm of internal damnation, their shared regional identity, it remains a powerful marker.
It's like even in hell, your accent follows you.
Right. And it's worth noting that these weren't just any sinners, these were noble Florentines, men who had held positions of prominence, positions of respect back in Florence.
And despite that shared background, Dante doesn't hold back, on his assessment of Florence. His words about the city's greed and pride, they're pretty scathing, really.
It really makes you think about that tension, between loyalty to a place and an honest reckoning with its flaws.
Yeah.
At what point does loyalty become, well, a kind of blindness?
It's a tough question. I mean, where's that line, right?
Yeah.
But what I found really interesting, really complex in this encounter is Dante's reaction to these three Florentines. Like, he's clearly disturbed by their sin, which we learn is violence against nature, but he explicitly acknowledges their past valor, their service to Florence. It's not a simple condemnation. It's much more nuanced than that.
That's right. It's a great example of, well, the complexity of human judgment, isn't it? This encounter really pushes us to consider whether we can separate our moral judgment of someone's actions, maybe even their personal feelings, from an acknowledgement of the good they may have done, their contributions to a larger community, a shared endeavor. It's a difficult thing to do, to hold both those perspectives at the same time.
Yeah. It's a challenge. And I think we see this all the time, right? Public figures, people we know personally, where we might completely disagree with certain choices they've made, yet we also see the good they've done. So how do we reconcile that? Where do we draw that line?
It's a question worth pondering, for sure. But the scene shifts quite dramatically, doesn't it? As they reach this roaring waterfall where the river Phlegethon, well, plunges into the abyss below. And here Virgil makes a very specific and I think very symbolic request.
Yeah, he asked Dante for the cord he wears around his waist.
And then, without any real explanation in that moment, Virgil takes this cord and he hurls it down into the darkness below. It's such a powerful image, isn't it? This casting off, this shedding of something.
It feels like a ritual, almost. And it really makes you think about what that cord might represent, What are we clinging to in our own lives that might be holding us back? Maybe it's a way of thinking, a belief system, or even just a sense of security that we've outgrown.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's about recognizing that sometimes, in order to move forward, to truly grow, to descend into those deeper levels of understanding, we have to let go of the things we've relied on, even if it feels scary or uncertain.
It's like that saying, you can't fill a cup that's already full.
Exactly. You have to create space for something new, something transformative. And then from that abyss, in response to the throne cord, emerges Geryon.
Now, Geryon, he's a fascinating figure, isn't he? A truly unsettling, multifaceted symbol. How would you describe him?
He's a strange one, that's for sure. I mean, he has the face of a man and seemingly, an honest, upright man. But then his body, it's this vibrant, scaly, serpentine form. And then there's that tail, that scorpion's tail, tipped with venom. It's a striking juxtaposition, isn't it? The seemingly trustworthy and the undeniably dangerous.
Totally. It's like this mashup of creatures, and each part of him seems to represent something different, something conflicting.
Right. And that's the point. Geryon, he embodies fraud. He presents this outward appearance of trustworthiness, maybe even benevolence, but his true nature is deceitful, harmful. He's the very embodiment of the deception of appearances.
It's a stark warning, isn't it? Not to be fooled by those first impressions, especially when something seems too good to be true, or when someone seems almost too eager to please.
Absolutely. We've all been in those situations, right? Where something just feels off, even though everything on the surface seems perfect. Trust in your gut, your intuition, it's crucial.
Yeah, those red flags, they're there for a reason. And Geryon, he's not just this monstrous figure. He actually becomes their mode of transport down to the next circle, the circle of fraud.
Right, and think about that for a moment. Virgil, with all his wisdom, he understands that this deceptive creature, this Geryon, is the necessary means to navigate this particular transition.
It's like sometimes you have to face the darkness, even use it to get to where you need to go. And this also highlights that theme of preparation, of facing greater dangers.
Exactly. Confronting those more significant challenges in life, it often requires a strategic approach.
Yeah.
Sometimes we even have to utilize resources, navigate situations that might make us uncomfortable, might even feel morally ambiguous. But Virgil's willingness to use Geryon, despite his nature, it underscores the importance of being pragmatic, of being prepared for those obstacles ahead.
And, that's a powerful message for all of us, isn't it? What are those challenges we see looming on the horizon, and how can we prepare ourselves? What resources, what strategies, maybe even what uncomfortable compromises do we need to consider?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that growth, that progress. It's not always a neat and tidy process. Sometimes it requires facing our fears, stepping outside our comfort zones, and even, making tough choices.
So as we've journeyed through this Canto 16th, I feel like we've uncovered some really profound ideas, really relevant ideas for our own lives. This idea of the complexity of human judgment, the need to let go of what's holding us back, the importance of seeing beyond surface appearances, and of course, the necessity of preparing ourselves for those tougher challenges that lie ahead.
And those aren't just abstract concepts, are they? They're very real, very practical considerations for how we navigate our own lives, our own relationships, even our own work.
Exactly. So as you continue on your own journey, what are those cores you might need to cast off? What are those Geryons you might encounter? And how can you sharpen your ability to recognize, the truth, the reality that might be hidden beneath a convincing facade? That's the challenge Canto de Sikh leaves us with.